All right, hello and welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP, online sales magazine and pipeline or CRM, joining you as usual from a sunny San Diego. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Deepak Bhootra, who is in a thundery Houston in Texas. How are you doing, Dr. Deepak?
Surviving, sir, as you said, thundering, but surviving. I'm here.
Excellent, excellent.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, and Deepak is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Jabulani Consulting, where he specializes in transforming sales and leadership practices through a distinctive blend of joy, empathy, and effectiveness. Over 30 years' experience spanning Fortune 100 companies and global business rules. You are a recognized leader in an expert in business development, organizational growth, and sales transformation. And you do work with Sandler Consulting and Sandler as well.
I'm with, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with Sandal. I'm Sandal certified.
Yeah. And what we want to talk about today is really about coaching and sales coaching. And so talk to me a little bit about what is wrong or what are the main issues that people have with sales coaching? Because it is one of the hardest things to do. Very few people know how to do it well. Practically, unless they've been through training with somebody like you, most sales leaders never get any training in how to coach. So tell me a little bit about the problems and how they need to be addressed.
So, John, you actually said a lot there. And I
Mhm.
just want to, attack a couple of those things. You started off by saying a lot of people don't, know how to. Here's the catch, though. Based on my discussions with sales VPs and sales managers, right? These are the people managers. These are the
Yeah.
sales coaches that we're going to refer to, right? At the end of the day, they have a role in the hierarchy. Here's some statistics that's going to blow your mind, John, which really left me reeling. 80% of them would argue that they don't need a coach because that's my job. If I bring in a coach, then someone's going to ask me, what am I paying you for again?
Hmm.
And I was very surprised by that because to me, if you are an elite athlete and you're preparing for the top, right, it is kind of a given that you are going to look for external support.
Yeah.
So, why is sales so awkward or odd about that? And I'll tell you why. Because the reality is that salespeople would rather break a leg and still go for the deal then win a deal and then have to explain how the deal was won while they were in the hospital. No, we got a problem right there. It's an
Hmm.
ego problem. So when we talk about coaching, you got to understand a few things. Sales as a function has not changed for thousands of years. And
Hmm.
in fact, I would argue, John, that sales is the oldest profession on earth. Now, someone once challenged me that, nope, it's something else.
Sure.
And I said, even that something else was selling.
Yeah,
So
exactly,
think about it. At the
exactly.
end of the day, bartering came before money even came. So people
Hmm.
were always exchanging ideas or selling some viewpoint or something was going on. Now let's look at sales where we are today. You can actually pick up a textbook from the 80s and it still resonates
Hmm.
because the basic human psychology has not really changed as much, right? It's I always look at it this one. I try to explain this to salespeople and sales leaders, especially. Sales is not a product problem, John. It's actually a people puzzle. If you actually figure out how you're going to get this group of people to work with you. So if I ask sales managers or sales leaders, how big is your team? And the guy says 10 people. The question I asked then, John, is of those, how many are making the number? And he usually tells me about 30%,
Yeah.
40%.
Yeah.
Then the question is, what are you doing with the rest? Oh, I'm coaching them. Then
Yeah.
tell me exactly what you're doing. And
Mhm.
let me tell you the script that hasn't changed to answer your question, John. They are talking about the same stuff that I used to speak about in the 90s and the 2000s. Oh, whenever I have time, I sit down with the guy and I tell him, let's fix this deal. Show me exactly what you're doing. Tell me your talk plan. Or, I listened in, or let's do a ride along. Watch the expert sell for you. These are crutches. These are not ways that you're going to grow
Mhm.
people. And something changed dramatically. And I'm going to give you a little of a side story here, John.
Right.
I personally have gone through burnout in sales. I
Mhm.
exited the sales twice in my career. The only reason I'm still in love with this topic or subject is because I got into sales operations. And I've spent the last 15 years building out massive complex CRM, CPQ infrastructure for salespeople to utilize. And the edge I brought was as an ex enterprise salesperson who got burnt out twice. So for me, mental health, your longevity in sales is a huge outcome that I want to give. So
Mhm.
therefore, you're looking at people that are still doing things which are sporadic, transactional, judgmental. There's so much judgment. John, just
Mhm.
listen to the language. Why
Mhm.
didn't you close? Why didn't you lead without objection?
Yeah.
I heard that cold call. Ooh, the first 10 seconds, you lost him right there.
Mhm.
Ah, this is what's happening is, reps feel they're inspected because it's old school thinking. People
Yeah.
respect what you inspect. So guess
Yeah.
what? Let's inspect.
Yeah, so one of the just coming back on something that you said there that I think is really important for people to listen to is the idea of a process and systemizing things, right? Is having, having a proper coaching process, having a proper sales process, having something to coach against. Because I feel sometimes, like you said there, it's like the coaching is, oh yeah, I listened to your last call and I wrote along, and yeah, as you said, I focused in on these things. However, what I'm not focusing on is the sales process effective? Is the system in place? Am I looking at how you're operating at different points in the process where I can maybe give you some additional help that might actually be beneficial?
Sean, again, that's $1 million question. And let's just step back. The answer that I'm going to give is as follows. I'm going to throw at you a t-shirt slogan that I really like. And I use this with the guys to explain to them the concept. Your salesperson doesn't need a babysitter. They
Hmm.
actually need someone who is a belief builder, someone
Right.
that helps understand what's happening inside. And the way that I typically tell the guys is that, okay, you need to coach to free that potential. You don't need to coach to fix deals. If you're coaching to fix deals, one of your top reps can do that. Why are
Hmm.
you, Mr. Sales Leader, involved and engaged in that conversation? So, one of the ways to start off with coaching actually is to say that, okay, first of all, just understand there are three components: behavior, attitude, technique. And let me tell you where most sales managers spend their time, even the rock stars.
Hmm.
John, 80% of the time is on technique. You didn't do this, you didn't do that, or you did too much of this, or you didn't do this, or you did it, but it was a different way. You didn't do it the Sandler way, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So one of the tricks is, John, and I tell this to sales leaders, is that no one's going to walk up to you and say that I need you to coach me, I'm struggling. That's usually not the signal that someone's going to give you. Nor is someone going to walk up and tell you that, hey boss, you know what, I really want to leave sales, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. And if you're having that conversation and the question is, what did you miss? What did you miss along the way? And that miss is typically a couple of things that I've noticed. Salespeople that are going to exit or are burning out, they're going to go very silent in calls. That's hint
Hmm.
number one.
Right.
Ask yourself, why is he quiet? What's going on? They're going to stop giving you feedback or ask for feedback. Ask again, what's going on? They're going to be on the Zoom call, but suddenly they're not on camera, or they are going to be filling out the CRM forms with absolute cut and paste from Chat GPT, and
Hmm.
something is up because it's just filler activity, as I call it. And that's when you start asking the questions that start shifting the coaching into a very personal, what's going on with you instead of what's going on with the deal.
Yeah.
John, that's a roundabout way, but that's how I would give context to kind of answer that question of yours.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and that's the quiet quitting that we all hear about constantly. Well, just picking up one of the things you said there as well
Hmm.
is, um, the other part is by human nature, right? We instinctively focus in on what we perceive as weaknesses or things that need fixing, right? As opposed to looking at, what are Deepak's strengths and how could we actually utilize them better and increase those strengths? Because at the end of the day, there are things, generally speaking, things that we're weak at are things that either we're not good at, we don't like, we're probably never going to be good at. And if you focus all your time on trying to fix those, you're actually doing it's actually quite a waste of time, as opposed to, and even like looking at a sales team, you could say, well, this person over here is fantastic at getting his foot in the door and setting
Yes.
up meetings, but he's not very good at closing or whatever, doing the deal. This person over here is not great at setting up and getting the foot in the door, but once you connect them to somebody, they're fantastic. So why not utilize the strengths of both?
Because feedback is a, how do you say this? It's supposed to be a dialogue, but
Hmm.
it becomes a download.
Yeah.
And when you're in a download mode, all you're doing is giving one-way traffic. You never pause to even ask what the person is absorbing. You just made $1 million point here. If you just think about, in the 80s and 90s, there was this one term that was thrown around, lone wolf, right, John?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
lone wolf. And lone wolf, even then I used to grimace. What are we talking about? In enterprise sales, I could not survive a single deal because there's somewhere a system engineer or someone, a pre-sales guy
Yeah.
supporting me. So what is this lone wolf concept about? Now there's a pivot in the thought process that I just want to position to you in terms of how I think sales guys need to think about this. And this is again a true conversation. And I had this epiphany about last year once I got into my own consulting game. And I'm sitting with a sales VP, and his response to me is as follows: whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't need anyone to tell me how to coach. I know exactly what to do. I says, tell me what you do. And he started giving me a whole litany of things. Then I said to him, that's amazing. Can I ask you a question? How do you do discovery? And his
Mhm.
eyes lit up and he started talking about spin selling, Sandler paint funnel, this, that. And
Right.
I said, can I ask you a question? When you talk to customers, how much grace do you show them? He says, what do you mean? I says, how much grace do you show your customers? He says, immense. If a customer says, I need to go to point A before I get to C, I go to point B, then I go to C. I do discovery, I listen, 2:1 ratio. I says, can I ask you a question? The same method that you use with your customer, the same grace that you showed, did you ever use spin to spin the methodology, to spin it around a bit? And he's like, what does that mean? I said, so let's imagine you're now with your salesperson
Yeah.
and you start off as follows. Hey, situation, problem, implication, payoff, right? That's
Mhm.
what this whole thing is. It
Yep.
needs payoff.
Yep.
So let's look at situation. Walk me through your current deal. Simple question. What's working? What's not? Why can't you do that? So he was looking at me and he's like, So I said, boss, you are the king of discovery. All you need to do is take the same techniques that you have in discovery and bring it to your sales rep. It's going to
Mm.
blow his mind. He's used to you telling him what's wrong with him or giving him feedback. What he's not used to is you actually asking him what's up. Then you move on to what's the problem. What's been unexpectedly hard this month? That's a simple question, John. And let me tell you one thing. There's this old saying that we have, at least in India. If you see someone who's sad and you ask him what's wrong, he'll never reply to you.
Mhm.
But when you empathize and you put your hand on their head, something bursts forth. And I think this is what sales managers forget to do. To them, taking someone for coffee and then beating the crap out of them for missing the number by 7% is putting my hand on his head. I'm like, no, sir. You did put your hand somewhere, but you put it on the wrong body part. You actually threatened him. So that's
Yeah.
how I look at it. Now, what's the implication? Ask the salesperson. Here's a very powerful question that I have recommended you should always use this. What does it cost you from an energy point of view, from consistency, if this deal were to drag on? And
Mhm.
that's when John, he's going to tell you, you know what, I'm actually tortured by this because I'm really worried about this deal. And then the reality comes. Till then he's been sandbagging and bravado, but when you actually let your guard down, you will actually know. People tell me CRM tools are a waste of time. I'm asking them why. Because the last mile is always an Excel spreadsheet. The answer is it is because no one wants to put stuff into CRM, because half of it is nonsense, or it's qualitative instead of quantitative, but you're trying to get a quantitative extract from it. Now you need to know that you've got the quantitative extract, but now the qualitative reality is very different. And this is where excellent coaching will actually give you a powerful forecast. And I can guarantee this to anyone listening. I'll take this challenge on head on. If you have a great coaching system, you have a great forecast. That's my prediction right there. And I
Yeah.
can tell you right now, there are companies spending millions of dollars in CRM, spend millions of dollars on coaching, get the guys to start asking the questions, which are what we know, stick or carrot. Can you believe it? We're still using that
Mm.
terminology in this day and
Yeah,
age.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
the last one is the spin, right? N, which is the need payoff. The question to the sales rep is, what support would make the biggest difference right now for you? And I tell you, he'll tell you immediately, you know what? I need to get to this specific person in that organization. I need to do this for my champion. What do you think I should do? How can you help? Now you've got a very precise question. And this is how you take your discovery process and systematically just deploy it here, right? It's not
Mhm.
about everyone knows how to. It's like, people tell me, I've never been to a funeral before, Deepak. I don't know how to behave. I
Mhm.
said, trust me, I'm not proud of the fact I've been a few funerals. I
Yeah.
behave naturally. Just sit
Yeah.
there and be, in the moment. It'll
Yeah.
come. You'll know what's going on.
Yeah,
Sorry,
absolutely.
John. Long-winded as usual, but you
No,
know.
no, 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 no. That's really good, and I think and your comment there about the coaching, and I do agree. I've said all along that effective sales leadership, who people who know how to coach, that's your greatest revenue multiplier, right?
Huge.
Because you can get, and if you leverage your CRM, like like Pipeline and CRM, if you leverage that to identify areas where coaching could actually be beneficial, then you got the best of both worlds. And I think one other thing too, Deepak, and you've probably seen that the natural inclination again of many sales leaders is to focus at the late stage, right? Is to
Mm,
come in and say, okay, Deepak, let me help you here. I'm going to help you push this over the line, and I'm going
exactly.
to do. But I don't really what I don't do is help you. Really, what I do is I elbow you out of the way. I try to close it, and then either I close or I don't. Either way, you're demoralized, right? It's not really helping
Correct.
you. But what I'm
Yeah.
not doing is going to the early stages and really helping you with qualification.
John, there's again so much we could talk about. I got to just pause for a sec
Sure.
there. Let's talk about a simple reality: demoralizing a salesperson, right?
Hmm.
Demoralizing is easy because, first of all, as a sales coach, you're typically at least 2 feet ahead, if not 20 years ahead of the guy that you're coaching and
Mm.
guiding, right?
Yeah.
It requires a mind shift. And a really reality that came to me was that my boss once called me and he said to me that, hey, I just saw you coming out in a very bad mood with your 7 guys. What happened there? And I said that no one seems to understand my direction. So I just told them, my way or the highway. And he said to
Hmm.
me, all 7 disagreed with you? I said, yes. And he said, then you are, my friend, on the one way. You are at fault because those 7 people are remarkably good people. And I was like, oh, okay. He asked me to go back and use 2:1, the same way that I use 2:1 with my customers. Use 2:1 with your own people and see what happens. It's amazing. They may have all the wrong notions, they may have all the wrong ideas, but there's one thing I realized: let the salesperson finish what's on his mind. It is cathartic. It releases some sort of I don't know which one, oxycontin or whatever. It releases something in them that actually allows them to feel heard. And I think that's the trigger. That's what you need to do. And John, just imagine this is typical sales leaders today. John, I hear you. But you know what? I also need to conserve my energy. I'm going to
Hmm.
help those who don't need to be helped. What does that
Hmm.
even mean? That means that I'm so short souted that the guys already doing great are the ones I'm going to help get over the line.
Hmm.
Awesome. But here's where mathematics is against these people and they don't understand it. Even if the 20% fire up, they're only going to give you to 80% the number. Let's assume that Pareto for once is correct, right, John?
Hmm.
Where's the
Yeah.
balance 20% going to come from? It's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
All you end up doing is that you already got a super performer. Now you're going to milk that poor guy dry. And sorry about the gesture that I'm doing on
Yeah. Yeah.
screen here.
Yeah.
Just
No.
imagine
No.
a cow. Just
Yeah.
imagine a cow. And what I typically tell these guys is, so what do you think you need to do to get that 20%? He says, you know what? I'm going to go create pressure on the low performers and squeeze the juice out of them because in any case, I want to get rid of 25% of them. I says, there's only one thing right in what you said, which is that it's roughly 25% is a mathematical number. Don't ask
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
how these numbers fall in place, but they usually do, boss. Here's the fun part. You want to get that 20%? It's actually the middle layer. These are the guys that are so close to greatness that if
Yeah.
you actually just did a little bit of effort, they are the ones that are going to cross the line and not give you 20%. I will guarantee they're going to give you 25, 30%. And there you go. You just crossed your number. But guess what? We are so focused on being at the end because
Mm.
remember, this is again, it's a dopamine hit. That's
Yeah.
the chemical I was
Yeah. Yeah.
thinking
The
about. It's a
dopamine. Yeah.
dopamine hit. I just got 4 deals over the touch line. Therefore, yes. Stop. You didn't, you're guided. And
Yes.
that's exactly the first mistake that happens. We need to celebrate every win, we need to celebrate every right behavior also.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying that I need you to show what do you call that, grace to the bottom 25%. What I'm asking you to do is to understand that spending time with the top 25% is actually going to not give you that much of a return.
Right.
Those guys are superstars in any case. They were on
Yeah.
autopilot. Go
Yeah.
for the middle 50%, John. That's where the fun is. And the reason I say that is because that 50% is the one that's going to leave you as well. The 25% you will throw out, but that middle 50%, they're going to move.
Yeah, no,
And
I agree with you completely. It's that bell curve. It's that the part in the
it,
middle is where you get the greatest uplift from. And one thing you just noticed, you just mentioned there that I just wanted to highlight is that idea of again, human nature being what it is. We're fantastic we're fantastic at spotting people doing things wrong or what we perceive as wrong. We're
Mhm.
terrible at catching people doing things right. And if we spent more time like paying attention to what people are doing well and actually acknowledging that, you would then build greater morale. But we don't. We kind of come, oh, Deepak, I haven't spoken to you in 2 weeks, but I noticed you didn't do this, so can you do this please? Instead of me
You-
saying,
you-
coming to you and saying, hey, listen, that's great, I see what you're doing, that's fantastic, you've done this, done that, whatever. It's a shift of mindset, but it's also counter to how we're hardwired as humans.
and John, but the answer is right there because
Mhm.
we're hardwired at human. We're
Mhm.
always in freeze flight or something, argue,
Yeah.
fear. Look at a good movie. You watch a good movie, you're gonna tell maybe one or two people. You watch a bad movie, you're gonna yap your mouth out. You're gonna most likely go on social media because social media is one of those monsters that we have just
Yeah.
created where an instant dislike will travel the world while the truth is still putting its shoes on.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I'm not even going to get into the political scenarios that we are finding ourselves in, but this is
Mhm.
an amazing. So now you've taken a human being, put him into a position of high revenue, high remuneration, high impact. everything is relying on you because sales is the core function. Now you got all this pressure in the
Mm.
system. This is what I call the perfect storm, where if you do not celebrate the little wins, you're simply going to get into this, what I call, as you put it earlier, quiet quitting. Boom, boom,
Mhm.
boom, right there. So how do you change your behavior? It's very simple. Hey, Roger, I know that we're having challenges with this specific deal, but remember that great move you pulled off on the Jepson deal? I think we need to do that play again. What do you think? You
Mm.
have actually called upon his intelligence and asked him to do something with it. Human beings will always argue with your ideas, but they'll never argue with their own idea or their own sense. Now, this is where knowing your people intimately, knowing their history helps a lot. And I'm not, and I have a sales manager who actually told me on a call. The reason why I won't work with you, Deepak, is because the you sent me a LinkedIn AI video to get a meeting in my diary.
Mm.
I despise AI. I do not consider it to be of any relevance. My response was as follows: that may be true in the ecosystem you live in, but whether we like it or not, AI is coming along. So he
Yeah.
said, yeah, yeah, AI is going to be very useful. I'm going to be able to monitor my guys aggressively and see which scripts they use and which scripts work the best. And I said to him, there you go. AI is supposed to be a friend, not a foreman. So
Yes.
what we now going to do now, and you just watch this, mark my words, you're going to have the same sales guys, sales managers, leaders who were running in the 80s or 90s style of functioning. Now they get AI, they're going to now they're going to ask for all recordings of his calls and then going to sit down and say to ChatGPT, give me all the keywords. Then he's going to tell him, hey, listen, you use this word so many times and those are the deals you lost, therefore don't use this word.
Yeah.
Now, other companies have done that very well, but I look at sales leaders with AI today as monkeys with a wrench. They're most
Mhm.
likely going to hurt themselves in the process than anyone else. AI is augmented intelligence, not artificial intelligence, the way
Yeah.
that sales guys are using it. And here's a simple truth, just, and this will make you laugh, John. Salespeople use AI today for the basic stuff and then brag about it. I
Mhm.
wrote an email. I wrote a LinkedIn DM. I actually cleaned up my executive summary. I did my, but now ask them, can I use AI to price your deal? And the first thing they tell me is, no, no, wait, hold on. No, what do you mean price my deal? Only I know my account. Only I know the
Mhm.
strategic value of my account. We do pricing this way, and I recommend a discount because I know the competitive stance.
Mhm.
That's interesting. So you are okay with AI till a certain level where it's no risk to you, but
Yeah.
you're not okay with AI when it's a risk to you because again, it's reputation. This is the nuance that a lot of people out there don't understand. I spent ages and ages and ages in predictive analytics with more than 1,500 salespeople I've worked with over my career,
Mhm.
John. And there's one attribute I tell about these people: they don't like interference. They despise technology that interferes or makes them look stupid. What they
Mhm.
love, though, is a technology that makes them look smarter. And that's why I tell leadership, give them AI to make them augmentedly intelligent,
Mhm.
not artificially intelligent. And AI is just a tool. It's a means to the end. What is the end? The end is salesperson being a rock star.
Yes.
And John, just watch this space. This is going to be fun. The
Yeah, no,
sales guys that are
I totally agree with you, and I think
yeah.
that's the key to, to AI, is that it's supportive, and as you said, it makes you smarter, particularly as a salesperson. It gives you the information you need, it gives you the context you need, all of those things, and then allows you to be the creative one. One of the guests I had recently, he said something that I think was a great kind of slogan. He said, "AI won't replace salespeople, but salespeople who use AI will replace salespeople who don't."
And here's the catch.
Yeah.
That person hopefully is me because that's exactly my favorite
Yeah.
line.
Mhm.
John, it's my favorite line. And the
Yeah.
way I explain it is as follows. Guys, imagine yourself hunting barefoot in the jungle.
Mhm.
You're playing some survival game, and a freaking tiger leaps out from nowhere. And everyone's like, ah! Everyone runs off. But there's this one super smart guy who actually stops, even though the tiger's getting closer, to put
Yeah.
on his AI shoes. The
Mhm.
shoes is a metaphor for AI. And then he starts running.
Yes.
Forget the tiger. Think about, just imagine this. You got this guy with this AI powered shoes, or
Yep.
just shoes as a metaphor for AI. He's going to
Mhm.
outpace you by default. Now who the tiger's going to eat? Then you got another stuff that's going to happen. I'm watching it right now. I have, I would say, seen something very interesting. 30% of my clients are under job threat right now. That the number used to be maybe at 15 or 10%.
Mhm.
And when we say job threat, these are people that have been actively told you're now on a PIP.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether it's tariffs or economics or whatever, but there's something going on. At the same time, I'm watching companies spending, small mom and pop companies are spending 5, 10, $20,000 to do AI. And
Yes.
when I ask them, what exactly are you doing, show me, what they're getting is some 18-year-old doing some basic stuff on custom GPTs because they know better, they don't know better. They see all this glitzy stuff coming out, and we have a problem. And
Yeah.
if you like slogans, I'm going to give you one simple slogan that I
Please.
always like. Do not turn AI into a scorekeeper. Use it as a mirror, not a ruler. That's
Mm,
the difference in my sense. The mirror point is very simple. AI will analyze your call, but only you can understand the behavior behind the call. Only
yeah.
you know why did Peter pause at that point, because you know there was a conversation where the customer told him that if you guys ever raise that point again, I'm going to shoot you. And at that point, that was the only point that could be a rebuttal. AI doesn't know that. AI is going to
Yeah.
say, "Oh, Peter missed the ball. Peter missed the ball." Well, Peter
Yeah.
missed the ball because he knew that if he caught that ball, his hands are going to get chopped. That deal's gone.
Yeah.
Only Peter knows that. And an exceptional sales manager will also know that because he's in sync with Peter. And I think that's the fun. Get
Yeah.
the two in tandem, and there's going to be a lot of fun here. A lot
Yeah,
of fun.
no, I agree. I think these are exciting times, and I think the people who embrace it properly, and as you said, and the people who understand where the real utility is, and also understand that at the end of the day, what do the best salespeople want to do, Deepak? They want to be creative. They want to build relationships. They want to, as you said, they want to be able to have peer to peer conversations with prospects, right? So they want to be as smart and as informed as they can be. And when you're at that level, then it's interesting and exciting. It's very
You,
dynamic.
you know, when I coach guys that come and tell me that, Deepak, I want to look for another job, I want out. They typically tell me I'm leaving because the guys don't believe in me anymore,
Mhm.
or they won't invest in me anymore. No, wait. What just happened here? At what point did you go? What did you say? So I have a sales rep, and I have to say this to you, John. This will make you smile a bit because it's worrisome. The guys are in 280K OTE. And I'm not saying that to brag about my clients, but
Yeah,
I'm giving you a number so that you understand that this is a
yeah.
respectable position. Dude's maybe mid 30s, rock star. He's at 93%. Would you believe this is his VP's message to him? Hey, buddy, one more quarter like that, and hey, it's PIP, eh? The first thing he did was pick the phone up and say, "Hey, Deepak, by the way, that proposal that I sat on for 2 months from you?
Mhm.
It's about time, buddy. Need your help."
Right. Yeah.
And in 1 month, he actually got 6 interviews, and he has
Mm.
exited that org. Straightforward. And he was there only for a year and a half. And I actually cautioned him. I said, "Look, job hopping is not, it's not as
Yeah.
bad as it used to be.
No, it's certainly
People
not
still
today.
forgive it,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't recommend you leaving within a year and a half." Because
Yeah.
now the question is going to come away. And his answer to me is very simple. No ways. Not for my dignity, not for 7%. Instead of telling me how I can make 107%, just
Mm.
I'm at 93, help me make 10 more percent, and there's my 100. But instead of saying that I'll help you with that extra 7%, he's holding me back for the 7%. Do you see the mathematics there?
Yeah.
93
Yeah.
plus 7 is 100, but he's punishing him for the negative 7, but he's not telling him how I'll help you with the plus 7. And that's the mind shift that needs to change. You
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
salesperson to believe in themselves, and that language is the problem that we have today, boss.
Yeah, you know what they say, no good deed goes unpunished, does it? I mean, the 97%, the
Mm,
90 whatever
yeah,
3%. It's well,
93.
listen, Deepak, this has been fantastic. I mean, I feel
My
like we could
pleasure,
talk for
absolutely.
hours here.
We could.
All of Deepak's information will be below this video, but before we go, please do remind people what you do.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So I am a B2B sales consultant. I've opened my own training and coaching organization. I'm working to a very simple reality. Salespeople need a lot of support. Salespeople don't understand the value of coaching, but I believe that having a top level athlete mindset requires you to think about going outside and getting someone as a sounding board. Also, understand one thing: 35% of salespeople will leave the sales function by age 35. John, that's a reality. In enterprise sales,
Mm,
that's the number. Now, if you can get help that increases your longevity. And if you can survive in enterprise sales till the age of 50, John, I've done a little napkin number there. On $100,000 OTE, you're going to make an extra $1 million if you spend another 20 years in sales, because that 20% delta, you take any other job, you will go for a lower salary. I'm always
mm,
telling people, isn't that amazing? That if you can figure out how to get your mindset right and how to survive the next 20 years in a minefield of a job, on Monday, you're the boy genius. On Tuesday,
yeah,
you're like, what the hell just
yeah.
happened here? Stuff like that, right? So, sales longevity is my mantra. How can you survive the grind? How do you survive the hustle and come out on tops without losing yourself in the process? That's me.
Mm. That's fantastic, and I would encourage people go check out. As I said, all the information will be below this video. I've used coaches myself in the past. I feel like coaching is, and as I always say to people, Deepak, and I know I'm sorry to repeat this to the audience, but I guarantee you spend money on your hobbies. You spend money on a coach for whatever. It's a pickleball. I don't care. Whatever it is you do. How much money do you spend on coaching for the thing that puts bread on your table? You should ask yourself that question, and then consider the answer to that, and consider where you should be investing your money. So listen, thanks again, Deepak. Thank you for
My
watching and
pleasure.
listening. See you all again very soon. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye bye.